If you think about our nation, where the heaviest populations are is where the least amount of freight's made, okay? The heartland of America, and if you kind of picture the map, starting over, say, on the west side of, say, like Minneapolis, if you're starting in, say, Minneapolis and came all the way down through Oklahoma City and kind of did a circle, kind of did a circle of the heartland of America, that's where the freight is, okay? That's where the factories are, right? And a lot of that's predicated amongst, if you think back 125, 150 years ago, when the Industrial Revolution began, all the money was in the Northeast. And so those guys had to go, they started building factories. Well, they had to go to, Ohio and Minnesota and Wisconsin, because that's where the resources were. And so for them to go build a company like a Kellogg's, or go build a company, like a Kraft Foods or a Ford Motor Company or whatever, they had to go build the factories out there where there were no people, but the resources were. And so truckloads are made in factories, right? And but the consumers are in the heavily populated areas. So you take it, for instance, like if you looked at a lane pair like New Jersey to, say, Indianapolis. Okay, let's just pick those two. Newark, New Jersey to Indianapolis. The going rate from Newark, New Jersey to Indianapolis is probably, I'll just say it's $1,200, okay? But Indianapolis going back to New Jersey is probably $2,500. Same lane, same miles, same. But because there's way more loads in Indianapolis than there are trucks, and in Newark, New Jersey, there's way more trucks than there are loads. It's just simply because nobody makes anything in Newark, New Jersey. But in Indianapolis, they're building all kinds of stuff. There's factories everywhere, right? And so those lane pairs are that, it's just that dynamic. I'll tell you what's going on in the economy right now, and whether we want to look at it as red state versus blue state. Red states normally make the products, blue states buy it. Blue states aren't buying right now. Blue states are not buying product like they once did. And I don't know the reasons, but I'll give you one lane pair that has switched dramatically in the last year and a half is LA and Memphis. Memphis to LA used to be, $3,000 to go from Memphis to LA, and then LA back to Memphis was $6,000. Because there was so much port business coming in from the Middle East or from the Far East, that demand was that heavy in LA. Today it's almost flip-flopped completely the other way. To go from Memphis to LA, $6,000. It's probably $5,000. And then from LA to Memphis, $3,000, because there's no freight coming in, there's no import business. Well, LA doesn't make anything. I mean, there's not factories in LA. All it is just port business, and then they process it, send it east from there, right? And that has had a dramatic effect on the economy. This year we've also, we had the flooding in northern Cal has delayed produce production this year. So California's been a nightmare all 4, 5, 6 months of this year so far, because they've just not had the port and they've not had the produce business that they normally have. But they've got an entire population that's got to be fed, and so there's tons of freight going out that way, but there's not much coming back out, and so you've had to raise all the pricing going out there to offset with no, very little freight coming back. Very strange dynamics. But there is a board, we use one called DAT, D-A-T. DAT is kind of the known reference point, and DAT is built up of actual, if you're a member of DAT, they have access to all of our freight bills. Okay, and so they can see, and they don't expose it, of course, but they see the pricing on the lane pairs. So you can go in there at any time and type in something as obscure as Muskogee, Oklahoma to Bettendorf, Iowa. You can type it in there and go, what's a going rate for this market? And they will show you two rates. They will show you a rate that's called shipper to carrier, which means contracted carrier like us. And then they will show one for a brokerage, a spot world. Basically, that's the brokers that are part of that and what rate they're getting, and then the shipper to carrier is the loads that we're getting and what rates we're hauling it for. And so I generally quote off the shipper to carrier, of course, because that's the ones that are most like us. They've got trailers, they've got safety bells and whistles, we've got all the EDI, we've got all that kind of stuff. And so the one down below, again, it goes back to that gambling. It's that's the broker. I'm going to go buy the 25-cent Coke and just chance that it's going to get delivered on time. Because it's cheaper. That's out there. Anybody can subscribe to that. It's, I don't even know what it costs, a couple grand a month. You can subscribe to it and keep up with it all the way through.